Okay, so in expectation of at least one of your questions, we thought the most logical thing to do would be to make a quick vid looking at the differences between the newly released new Apple iPad and the Acer 701 Android tablet, which will be released later this year. Okay, so firstly, the two stats are thrown around for all new tablets and notebooks, weight and thickness. Now the iPad comes in at 662 grams versus the Acer at 705 grams, so 42 grams in favour of the iPad. And interestingly, even though the shapes are quite different due to the screen ratios, the actual footprint of both is pretty close. In thickness, the iPad comes in under the A701 as well, 1.5mm thinner at 9.4mm versus 10.9. Here, the iPad wins easily. We've done a processor comparison between the A5X and the Tegra 3, you might have seen it, and so have many others, which show there are definite graphic performance wins for Apple, but not necessarily for the CPU. So we will be doing more real-life testing, but not with this model as it is pre-production. Screen resolution is the next interesting comparison. Here the iPad with its 2048 by 1536 screen has a pixel density of 264 pixels per inch. The A701 with its 1900 by 1200 screen has a pixel density of 224. Getting closer, but not quite there to the iPad's currently unbeatable tablet pixel density. Also, the iTunes store has started releasing apps specifically designed for the new higher resolution of the iPad. Now, with no Android tablets out there with this screen definition yet, we won't be able to compare head-to-head on an app basis in terms of resolution at this stage. One thing we should point out though, when it comes to the Acer, is the native 16:9 screen. With video content not really coming out or required more than 1080p on a mobile device, the ability for the Acer to display a movie in virtually the same ratio as the screen could well be a defining factor for some tablet buyers. Now, as we know, portrait versus landscape is one very visual difference in the way one holds and views content on Apple and Android tablets. Now, memory-wise, the iPad that we're using has a capacity of 64GB, while the Acer has 32GB on board, but also has expandable memory via the micro SD card slot of up to 32GB. Audio-wise, well, it's a single speaker for Apple versus stereo speakers for the Acer. Port-wise, the iPad is restricted to its 30-pin connector, as we all know, whereas the Acer here has a micro HDMI and micro USB port, and this USB port allows for direct file transferring from a hard drive location. So on these points, to us, the Acer has definite benefits, from an Android pedigree point of view. Onto cameras, the Acer uses a 5-megapixel back camera, so does the Apple, and both shoot at 1080p quality. The Acer does have a superior front camera with 1-megapixel sensor and 720p recording quality. Now in Australia, the iPad's publicised 4G hardware isn't accessible due to the frequencies not supported by any local telcos. Both the Acer and the Apple tablets can connect to Telstra's HSPA Plus network, which does improve normal 3G speeds by about double. So I'd say it's a tie there. Also, battery life quoted is about the same at around 10 hours, so it's a draw there too. Now, we could talk about the differences in ecosystems and operating systems, but we've also done that before as well. Suffice to say, there is a much higher level and variety of apps for the iPad as opposed to the Android tablet range, which in our view is a shame because there is a very high level of innovation coming from Android manufacturers to try to make the Android tablet category a success. Now, for example, the Acer Ring is a good example of using the existing OS and tweaking it to provide shortcuts to really enhance functionality. So, that's a quick comparison between the future A701 from Acer and the newly released iPad. Now, let us know your thoughts, I'm sure you will, in the comments area below, and we look forward to hearing from you. Until next time.